And there they are, relaxing. Somebody didn't want to wear their costume anymore. Well, that's okay. It's hard to sleep with the hat on anyway, I think. Just going to read them a few nighttime scary stories. So, I thought I would read some, a little bit spooky stories for the dogs. And let's see. They're all about dogs. The dog who definitely noticed something. One of the worst things is when your dog notices something you don't in the dark. User Octopoodle says, I'm laying in bed reading with my dog at night. My bedroom door is open, and my room is the only room in the house with the lights on. It is completely silent. I took a glance at my dog. My dog is staring out the door into the pure darkness. I see him slowly tilting his head to the side, which he usually does when he sees or hears something bizarre. He growls for a good minute. Then he notices me staring at him and wags his tail. Ooh, creepy. A dog and the closet. It's even weirder when the dog and the cat get together and do something creepy. Usually. Yeah, very usually. City for Ants said, it's very creepy, thank you very much. Both of them do. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning to a small bark, and the dog doesn't come when I call her. I walk out to see my cat and my dog sitting by the hall closet door, just staring at the doorknob. The dog is wagging its tail, just waiting for it to open, like there's something on the other side. Could have been from a scene from a horror movie. A dog who senses a ghost. If you have any doubts that dogs can sense spirits, read this story from ZeroCool72. The previous owner of my wife's house committed suicide in the house. She didn't know it until a neighbor mentioned it a few years after she bought it. Her dog would randomly stare at a certain wall in the living room and growl, like just the middle of the wall. Would be 6 inches from the wall. You would have to touch her to get her to stop. She would be in a zone, and calling her name would have no effect. I'm so glad we moved. I would have. A dog who barked at a wall. Another one, huh? Okay. The creepiest thing is when your dog wakes you up by doing something terrifying. User the Cyber Tiger says, when I was a kid, my family and I lived in a house that was curiously active. Nothing too concerning, just the occasional creak or footstep during the night. And small knickknacks would mysteriously tip over out of the corner of your eye. Interesting. Anyway, one night I was sleeping in the bed that I shared with my 2 sisters, when our chocolate lab, Remington, lumbered into the bedroom, jumped in between us. I was half asleep and scratching her ears when suddenly he jerked his head to the left and started barking at the empty wall 3 feet away from me. After about 20 seconds, a deep bark bristled barking. He relaxed, turned back to me, and continued licking my face. I'm not sure what he saw that day, but I'm pretty sure that dog saved me from starring in the Exorcist reality show. My parents have long since moved away from that house, but I still have recurring nightmares of waking up in my old room. Ew, I would too. A dog who felt the spirit in the house. Sometimes your dog will notice something that you can't see, which is very, very creepy. User Capo said, my boyfriend and I swear our house is haunted. And if it isn't, our dog is possessed. This has happened a few times, but I remember one very clearly because it was far worse than the others. She has a habit of waking up in the middle of the night and growling at our door. I usually shrug it off as she growls at the slightest creak in the wood. But this night, she woke up at 3:33 a.m. on the dot. Growled loud enough to start drooling and snarling. She was up on all fours with her head lowered, looking at the doorway. I nudged her and told her to knock it off, but she persisted. After about 5 minutes of this, the TV service cuts out. We sleep with it on for the noise. But it went out and cut to static. At this point, my dog lowered herself to the bed, lying flat, pulled her ears back, and whined. Then she slowly moved her head from the doorway to the TV as if something was walking into the room. The TV shuts off, and she's fixated her gaze upon it. I nope the F out, pull the comforter over my head, and refuse to look around until it's daylight. The dog heard something in the garage. Sometimes it can be hard to tell if your dog is barking at someone or just an animal. This story from user Marrow is an example of how scary this can be. I have a golden doodle, and if you know the breed, they're generally really goofy, energetic, happy dogs. My dog is particularly so. She tends to be very submissive, is afraid of anything bigger than her head, etc. I've also never heard her growl in my life. One night, I was home alone upstairs on the computer while my dog was downstairs. I suddenly hear some noise coming from the garage below. We sometimes have raccoons or cats visit us, coming into the garage because we leave the side door open. So it shouldn't have scared me like it did. Something about the sound really freaked me out though, because it sounded almost purposeful. I sat up and just listened for a few seconds and heard more noises. So I go to stand at the top of the stairs to listen more. And as soon as I do, my dog stands up from where she was laying, looks directly at me, and lets out the creepiest low growl I've ever heard. I could almost feel the blood run out of my face. When I went downstairs, she runs to the door leading to the garage, and I let her out into the garage, and she races to the side yard, where she proceeds to bark for a solid 5 minutes. I suspect that my imagination was running wild with the noises, and it probably was just an animal, but it still gives me the chills when I think about it.